All right, boom, it was time for my consultations. The first office I visited, I really enjoyed this little machine they had. Basically, it would take a image of me and put it up on the screen so it can kind of give me an idea of what my boobs could look like depending on which size.
So what, I'm going to show you saline first. This is saline. So a capsule and then there's salt water in it. When it's in the body, it'll be fully inflated.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't jiggle around like that. It's just like
I was wondering.
when it's out, yes,
Okay.
it's fully inflated inside the body. This is the first type of silicone that we have. That is going to be gel inside a capsule, so you can already kind of feel the difference. You know, it's a lot softer. And if we were to cut through it, gel would be in the capsule as well.
Okay.
So differences there is ergonomics a little bit softer. It's a little bit more teardrop, and then round is a little firmer, and then it gives you that fullness at the top. So it really gives you that profile. So that's the biggest differences there.
And as far as like determining which one is best, is that more so like what the doctor feels makes most sense for your anatomy, or is it kind of like just, I guess, like the style preference?
Yeah, you know, it's your preference.
How would I know? Because so essentially I breastfed for like a year and a half, so I lost a lot of volume. So I guess I don't necessarily know if I would need a lift. Like, how would I know if that's something that I would need versus just putting the volume in there?
Yeah, so usually after breastfeeding, I never like to say for sure, but in your case, you most likely would need a lift because that skin is kind of hanging over the crease. So if we just put an implant in, it would literally like point your nipples down.
So you know this one is bigger and sits lower, right? Okay, so we're gonna have to do something with that. So we're gonna have to fix all that. So the implants will give you the fullness and the cleavage. The lift will get everything centered correctly. And then the internal bra, the mesh, will help hold them in place. So let's have you stand and do some measurements. Okay. Right, nipple's going to be 23 and 23 there. So, but this is all going to have to come up to be centered. We can make the areola smaller if you want to do that as well.
So now why am I in it? And you could have did it. See, I get wrong because you never apologized.
Okay, so spoiler alert, I did not actually go with that office. I don't know, it didn't connect for me. So this is the second office that I visited, Reflections in Carteraville, Georgia. This is actually where I booked my appointment. So today we're doing another consultation pretty much from scratch, very similar to the first one, just a different energy altogether. I love the office, I love the doctor, I love the staff. I feel like this just made the most sense for me. So this is where I decided to go. And then of course they had this screen showing us some of their past results of other surgeries, and I was like, oh baby, that gets into the pieces. So I knew I was in the right place, but I'm gonna let you guys see how this consultation went as well.
See what we can do. Okay. Just put your arms down your side of my eyes. 23, 23 and a half, 11 and a half, 11, 9, 9, 19 and a half, 5, 5 and a half. Decent symmetry, type 1 constriction on both sides. Family history of breast cancer? Nothing like that. Okay, see some quick photos for your chart. Let me get a face picture here for your chart real quick. Yeah. Beautiful. Perfect. Alright, you can go ahead and cover up. Alright, so I heard you had another consult previously. I would agree, implants with lists probably going to be your best bet. If you did implants only, you're going to have that tissue kind of hanging off the bottom, and it probably won't look as good as you want. Okay. Areolas being a little bit wider, does that bother you or not really? Or okay. As I say, if we did a lift, we can reduce those down a little bit, at least get some more uniformity around it. Okay. So general anesthesia, Won't remember, won't feel it. We can do it at Piedmont Carteraville Hospital, or we can do it here at my surgery center. Completely up to you. You're gonna be completely asleep. It's a little more expensive at the hospital, but again, it's your call. Okay. Make an incision up underneath, go down to the pec muscle, cut the pec muscle, so the chest muscle. Lift that up, implant goes underneath. Close that up, then we start your lift. Take a wedge of tissue up from underneath, the stuff that's hanging down. Cut that out and get rid of it. Pull the tissue edges together, which helps lift the breast up. Okay. Now, when I pulled all this tissue together, it makes the skin underneath bunch up. So I have to take a wedge of tissue off from underneath and pull that up and sew that into place. Okay. Then I cut around your areola, reducing it somewhat. Kind of rotate and slide it up and tack it into place. So I'm not actually removing any tissue and putting it back on, I'm just shifting things. Okay. Sew everything up, and there's your left. Okay. Biggest risk, 1% chance of hematoma or bleeding with the implant. About a 1% chance of infection with the implant. If you do have a bleed, we have to go back to surgery. We take the implant out, wash out the pocket, implant goes back in, but now the chance of infection is like 25%. Okay. If we get an infection on the implant, your body probably won't clear. We may have to go and take the implant out completely, let it heal, come back 3-4 months later, put new implants in. It's a bad day for everybody if that happens, right? Because now you got to pay for that second surgery, but I'm also doing everything at that point at complete cost. Okay. So it's kind of a loss for both of us. So unfortunately, things can happen, but pretty rare overall. Okay. Chest wall injury, because I'm going under the muscle and I'm right on those ribs, there's always a possibility of getting to the chest. That would be extremely rare. Okay. Numbness and tingling along the side, common, that usually goes away over the course of weeks to months. Capsular contracture can occur as well. Have you heard this before?
Heard it, but I don't really know.
Okay. So your body puts a capsule around the implant, which is a normal reaction because it's foreign. Your body doesn't like it. It puts a capsule around it. For whatever reason, that inflammatory process that created that capsule kicks back in again, whether it's 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years. Okay, it's kind of random. When you look at the whole picture of all breast augmentations, it happens in about 7% of all breast augments, which is pretty high. It's more common in smokers, which are not. It's more common going over the muscle, which I recommend going under. It's more common in saline. I recommend silico. Okay. So there's your risk with the actual implants. Now with the lift, okay, 1% chance of a bleed, 1% chance of infection, about a 5% chance that the nipple and areola can go numb, and then about a 1% chance the whole nipple and areola could die, just lack of blood supply. Okay. Now there's different reasons why you would probably be fairly low on that risk overall, because we're not doing this huge lift, right? You know, they're not down here. They're just a little hanging down, little sag from having the pregnancies. So it's not a huge lift. And if we don't go with massive implants, right, the bigger the implant, the more it puts tension on those tissues, and it's hard to get them to pull together and heal. So if we don't go huge, again, the risk is a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Okay. And then chance of wound breakdown is about 15%, 15 to 20. So it's a little higher. But when I pull the tissues together, cut this out and I pull that tissue up, where those three tissues come together at that intersection, there's not great blood supply because of how narrow those little tissues are coming there. Plus there's tension on it. So that's where that 15% or so, 20% chance of wound breakdown comes into play. Now if that happens, don't freak out, just let me know. Sometimes we put a stitch or two in it, sometimes we tape it for support, sometimes we do nothing but watch it. Usually it ends up being just fine, it's just more of a nuisance. Okay. Let's see, asymmetries are always possible, right? We're not talking like nipple here, nipple there, right? Not crazy, but slight asymmetries are normal, right? And then I talked to you about the type 1 constriction, but I told her basically you're missing volume on the inside. Putting the implants in, doing a lift should take care of that. Okay. Questions about that so far? Okay. With recovery, you're talking about 5-7 days of being sore, tired, basically don't plan anything. Okay. Cannot submerge underwater for 6 weeks or until everything's healed. If you have that one little wound, it may take 8-10 weeks. It can take longer. So just anticipate 6 weeks, but again, it's always possible for longer as far as submerging underwater. Don't get your heart rate elevated for 6 weeks. So no working out, no cardio, no walking up steep hills where you get your heart rate elevated because you'll just swell. And no lifting more than 20 pounds or engage in that chest for 6 weeks as well. That's the biggest one. Okay. Implants will sit very high initially, and after 2 weeks, as the healing continues, to do well, we'll have you start massaging those muscles so it relaxes the muscles and things start to stretch out and look a little more natural. Okay. Good supportive bra will provide you. You're going to wear that for a grand total of 6 weeks. After that, pending everything's healed up nicely, you can go back to doing whatever you want, wearing whatever you want.